Hi, my name is coverkillernation. Tom Brady might be able to deflate footballs, but he can't deflate my excitement for Under the Red Cloud by Amorphis, which is the album that we're talking about today. Their 2015 offering, the 12th in their discography. This has a lot of expectations riding on it, considering this is a group that has had a string of fantastic albums in their recent career. So it's always interesting to talk about an Amorphis record to see if they have continued to ride the plateau out, or if instead this has been the album where things have gone a little bit in the opposite direction. So we need to speak about it for those two regards. Now, Amorphis has, of course, transformed their sound quite a bit throughout their years, and on this album they tend to do it a little bit more as well. There are some interesting themes that are going on, and the writing certainly seems to become even more layered and a little bit more dense, including some aspects of perhaps some oriental themes, either that, or there's a lot more folk element in this, which they already had that folk element within their sound, but it seems to be exposing itself more and more as time goes by, and it has actually come to quite nice results. On a lyrical or a more so on a vocal level, this is an album that really gears a little bit more toward intermixing up the rough-edged vocals with the cleans. I would say that it's probably close to a 50-50 shift, if not maybe 60-40, a little bit more geared towards the growls. And this is a disc where that works very, very nicely in the band's favor, considering the music itself now has also started to intermingle with the slower tempos and the a little bit quicker mid-tempo range, with a little bit more variance, as opposed to the slower or the softer parts of Amorphis' sound resonating through only in a couple of occasions. This is one where it seems to happen a bit more, but with that added influence, with that added oriental sound or that added folk element, actually provides a little bit more kick to it, a little bit more of an exciting feeling to all of this, which has led to great results. The first song that I really need to praise on this album is track number 4, The Skull, which certainly is the song that, if listening to this disc for the first time, immediately will sort of set your mind to the mode that they definitely went into the studio and were presented with the challenge of doing something a bit different by comparison to the norm, and were sort of challenged to take their songwriting to another level. This is a song in The Skull that features probably some of their strongest songwriting to date. This is very, very different, unique, and kind of throws you through a loop whenever you encounter it during your first spin through the album. Once you know that it's coming, though, with subsequent playbacks, you start to realize and recognize that a true highlight is fast approaching. Not to mention, you can see its difference and its importance to the first half of this album. It's certainly something that sets it as a bit unique. And from there, it kind of just opens up even further, almost as though the first 3 tracks were a soft introduction to this idea, whereas The Skull plunges you headlong and sets you up for what the second half of this disc has to really offer. And aside from that, there are some flutes in here that are helped out. They are provided, should I say, by the flautist from helluva. We have drums that were done on the single which we heard, Death of a King, that were handled by Martin Lopez, of course, formerly of Opeth. And there is a track, White Knight, the very final track on this album. I know it's not White Knight, like some asshole that's coming in to defend a girl that he's only known for 2 seconds but thinks is cute as fuck. That actually has some ethereal female vocals that are provided by a lady that's in a band by the name of Trees of Eternity. And this is definitely similar to The Skull, a track that takes on that massive idea of trying something new and sampling something different, and really ends this album, unless you of course have the additions, the slipcases, and the Japanese bonus tracks. This ends the core 10 tracks that Under the Red Cloud offers in a very unique fashion, and does what I feel is extremely important, and is ending on a unique but very high note. Throughout this disc, you're going to be treated to a lot of different melodies, and these are going to be ones that are also going to be accented with very nice instrumental passages through the guitars and a lot of great solos. Tree of Ages actually boasts one of such guitar solos during its middle portion that actually sets you up very, very nicely for the sort of cosmic in and out drift, the black and white drift that this song has to White Knight's finale. Overall, this is an album that I think is going to take some folks by surprise. I think that those that are very fixated and used to a core sound from Amorphis will not necessarily be disappointed, but I think that this is an album where it will take a couple of spins for them to perhaps either understand the idea or really come around to accept it. I think it's going to not necessarily be a complete sea change, but at the same time, they may find something a bit off of it. Similar to whenever Opeth fans listen to Heritage and then listen to Pale Communion. There have been a lot of people that have really confessed that after Pale Communion, they really came to fall in love with Heritage. I feel that this album may have a similar effect, only with less of a polarizing result. I feel that many fans of this band, myself included, are instead going to enjoy this album and consider it to be once again another triumph. And it won't necessarily be within that same plateau that Amorphis have been on for the past, say, 4 or 5 discs. It's instead one where they are experiencing that the plateau actually is at the base of another potential plateau, and they're exploring the cave that is right in front of them in order to perhaps find a way up there. And by exploring that cave, they explored themselves, and by exploring themselves, they explored their sound. And the results actually show that Amorphis is still one of the most consistent names in metal today. 85 out of 100. This is a great series of songs, a great album, flows very nicely, but Amorphis at this point really just know how to put together a package of tracks. They work very hard on these, you can tell. And it's captivating, it is bold, it does have some experiments that are laced within it that I felt really worked nicely for this band. But I want to know what you guys think about Under the Red Cloud by Amorphis. Let me know in the comments below, and let's talk a little bit of Amorphis. These guys are fantastic and deserve the praise, so let's definitely do that. My name is CoverkillernNation. I have been reinflated because I was never deflated. Go Steelers. Fuck Brady. Hell of a way to end an Amorphis album review, I know. Oh well.